Redshift here, doing my part to shift perceptions out of the pink and into the red. Okay, so Old Man Flappy Nuts left a comment, and he said something about, college and women don't mix. He also said something about he's not really in favor of polygamy, but, maybe in his case he is, or something. The way he phrased it, I wasn't really clear. It sounded like that's what he was saying. Like, he's not really in favor of polygamy, but in his case, he thinks it would be okay. But that's kind of like saying, if so, if I'm not misunderstanding him, if anybody holds that view, it's untenable because there's already automatically gynocentrism because of the bottom 10 to 30% of women being unfuckable, right? So you got 100% of men pursuing 70 to 90% of women. So it's even under patriarchy, it's untenable. You know what I mean? Oh, it's not untenable. It's automatically gynocentric, right? So you're making that problem way worse. I mean, if you're going to be polygamous, then other guys will want to be polygamous. Just like if guys are being promiscuous, other guys want to be promiscuous. I mean, you can't say, look, do what I say, not what I do. I mean, and then when you have everybody even just trying to be a bigamist, you got over 50% of the population are incels, and then you got massive violence and massive societal chaos, and just everything is total insanity because of people going on killing sprees every day because of how insane the incel problem has become. And men have no investment in society. They want nothing more than to, burn the world to the ground because it's not working for them. Other guys are getting more than their fair share, and the other guys aren't getting anything at all. Society and civilization were built on monogamy. That's why non-monogamous countries are not as successful, It's not just the IQ issue. I mean, that's probably the biggest issue, but it's also, lack of monogamy causes a lot of violence and stuff, and if there's a lot of violence, you got to breed as quick as possible. This also incentivizes IQ to be lower. Because, why stick around? I mean, why not breed as quick as you can, as recklessly as you can, if you probably won't survive because of the battle over women because you live in a polygamous society. Hence, blacks' IQs being lower because of the polygamy. The polygamy creates a lower IQ, and the lower IQ creates the polygamy. It's a reciprocal thing, It's a self-reinforcing cycle. It's a negative. It's a vicious circle, But regarding him saying that something like he was, I think he was implying it was his girlfriend he was talking about, but or a girl he's interested in, or she's kind of like his girlfriend or whatever. He was saying he's he would think of dumping a girl if she were going to were wanting to go to college or whatever, right? But if your girlfriend is wanting to go to college, doesn't that just show, even if she's young, girls can be 14, 15 years old and they want to go to college, right? Why? Because they've literally, if she's 14, she has literally had 14 years, or at least 12 to 13 years. Ever since she could understand English, she's been watching TV. Mom's been using the TV as a babysitter, and then later on voluntarily choosing to watch TV. The kid has been. So the kid's had literally over a decade worth of feminist brainwashing poured into her head. So she has no conception of what traditionalism is, or why it's better, or why XXers should be out of the workforce, and how it's good for them to be out of the workforce, or how it makes no sense for them to go to college. I mean, it's so logical, it's so easy to understand, but when you're going against literally a decade of brainwashing, yeah, it's going to be pretty fucking hard. And yeah, I agree, you should not be with a girl who's going to go to college, because, number one, she'll be more likely to cheat, and number two, it's that whole, I just want to have fun and blah, blah, blah. And that includes cheating, right? Drinking and all that negative stuff that just results in heartbreak, just results in losing pair bonding ability. It's not good. It's all downside, no upside, right? So, yeah, but I think you should, number one, if you have a girlfriend or something who's wanting to go to college, you have a 16 or 17 or 18-year-old girlfriend, and she's wanting to go to college, then number one, I think you have to explain to her the economics of women being in the workforce, how it drives down wages for everyone, and this makes for less marriageable men for other women, so you're harming other women by, going to college and then getting in the workforce. Number two, if you're not going to get in the workforce, there's no point in going to college. Number three, maybe if your family's fucking rich, You know, if her family's like really fucking rich and they can afford to blow, you know, 20, 30, 40,000 bucks, whatever, on her going getting a bachelor's degree that she's never going to use, then yeah, maybe it's okay for her to go to college. Maybe if you know for a fact she's not going to cheat and or you're going to college with her or something, or you're very nearby and she's going to be living with you instead of living in you know, with other women and stuff, right? Because like if she's living with you, she's going to be less able to cheat. You know what I mean? Or less inclined to cheat or whatever, right? But even just the whole culture, you know, like there's all these other girls who are cheating on their boyfriends, and that incentivizes your girl to be more likely to do it. There's all this drinking; she might end up cheating, you know, without meaning to. Well, she's under the influence, right? But like, I think you've got to explain, like, number one, college is expensive, way more expensive than it should be. That's because of the greater demand, and you know, because college price is going to go up the more people that are trying to go to college, right? And when government provides, you know, loans so that you can go to college, this makes it so that the colleges have no shortage of people willing to go to the college. So because they have this, you know, artificial ease of getting the money by getting a loan from the government, and then this makes it so that the college can just raise the price of college because hell, you know, they don't have a shortage, so it's not like they have to lower the price. You know, if they had, you know, not anywhere near as many people going to college as they needed or wanted, then yeah, they might lower the price, right? Especially if they're losing more and more people going to college. If more and more people were refusing to go to college and they're having trouble, you know, filling their classes and stuff, then yeah, they probably lower the price. But because they have an abundance of people going to college because of the loans the government provides with your tax dollars, by the way, or just they create it out of thin air, you know, debt-based fiat currency, digital fiat currency, you know, like this just means that, you know, they can raise the price almost as high as they want for college. You know, it's insane. And the government likes that because now the people are enslaved to debt. And now they're not going to rebel or anything like that. And the government makes money on the interest and stuff, assuming the people pay back the loans. So this means that, like, you know, college is number one, overpriced. Number two, if you're not going to go into the workforce, there's no fucking reason to go to college unless you're a girl who's the daughter of a very rich family who can afford to blow all that money knowing she's never going to use the degree. Number three, by going into the workforce, if you do go into the workforce, you're driving down wages for everyone, including yourself and your boyfriend or husband, and therefore you won't be able to have as many kids. You'll be working twice as much for the same amount of money. You know, you'll both be working 40 hours a week to make, let's say, you know, 100,000 a year instead of, you know, him working 40 hours a week to make 100,000 a year. You know, you're literally working for free if you're a woman and you're in the workforce. You know, we have to get women to, we have to explain this to women. Like, if you have a girlfriend who's wanting to go to college, you need to explain all this stuff to her. That it's just utterly pointless, and that she's depriving other women of the ability to get husbands by going into the workforce, because then men's wages are going down, women's too, and so now there's fewer marriageable men because there's not as many men now who can afford to get married and have a kid. So now no women want those men, which is bad for societal stability. It's bad for those men. It's bad for women, you know, who want to find a husband but can't because there's not enough marriageable men out there because of wages being driven down by women being in the workforce, etc. Right? But also, I think a lot of women view college as like this enriching experience because that's how women are. They're not practical, right? They want to go to college because it's fun and you got to learn a lot of stuff and it's empowering and blah, blah, blah. But like all you have to do is, well, maybe not all you have to do, but like one of the things I think you should do is explain all the stuff I just said and explain to her that, like, I'm not against you, you know, educating yourself, honey. You know, you can get as educated as you want. You know, you can stay home, you can surf the net and get super red pilled as much as you want. You can buy textbooks from college and read those things and educate yourself as much as you want. If you really want to learn, then why not just get a textbook and read it and learn that stuff? Or, you know, audit classes. Just go and watch and just sit in on the classes. You can do that. You can just watch the classes for free, even though you're not in that class. You won't get any grades, so you won't get a degree, but you can learn all the same stuff. And plus, like, the classroom just usually teaches out of the textbook anyway. So just read the textbook. But if you want the social aspect of it, yeah, you can sit in on the class. You can do that too, you know? And then you can learn everything that you would learn in college, but, you know, for free. Like, even the billionaire, what's his name? That guy who owns that basketball team. God damn it, what is his name? Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban even said that, like, that if he were starting out again today, that's what he would do. He would just, like, audit classes and stuff. He wouldn't even He wouldn't even pay to get a degree. Why does anybody do that? Right? He said that. He said that publicly in an interview. Right? Like, so listen to the smart people, right? Like, don't go to college. Or if you're going to go, don't pay for it. That's ridiculous. Right? So you can say, I'm not against you. I'm not trying. See, I think a lot of women, if you tell them, I don't want you going to college, I don't want to be with a woman who's going to go to college, what she hears is, I want to have a hold over you. I want you to be stupid. I want you to just obey me and be my little slave because you're stupid because you didn't go to college. But, you know, you just explain to her that that's not the case at all. Yes, I want an obedient, loving, submissive wife, but that's not why I don't want you to go to college. You can be as educated as you want. Hell, get smarter than me. Get way more educated than me. I don't care. Like, you know, being smart is good because then you can teach our kids to be smart as well. You know what I mean? You can say that to her, and then she'll be like, huh, you know, I guess he's not trying to oppress me. You know, point out to her that, like, there's nothing liberating about debt. There's nothing empowering about being $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in debt from college that just forces you to want to work and then, you know, waste your 20s working. Your 20s are supposed to be a fun time, but not like riding the cock carousel, working fun. Because number one, working's not fun. Number two, college is not fun like you think it is. It's hard work, right? Especially if you're going to go into a degree that's worth a damn, then it can be really hard, right? Mathematics or chemistry or IT or something, that's not easy stuff. That's fucking stressful. Why would you want to stress yourself out like that? Number two, wouldn't you rather learn at your own pace if you really want to learn that stuff and not have to take a bunch of classes so that you can be considered going full time? You know what I mean? Like, just take the classes that you want to take and don't get overwhelmed. You'll do better. You'll learn better. You know what I mean? And you know, again, just explain to her that you're not against her being educated. You're just against her wasting a bunch of money and being around all these whores and all that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And you're against her being in the workforce because of it driving down male wages. You're not against her being educated. Like you know, maybe show her a video or two of Peter Schiff. In some of his videos, he's talked about how, like, it's not empowering to have to work. It's a good thing if you don't have to work. Not if you have to work. Working is something that nobody wants to do. You shouldn't want to work. Like not having to work is better, right? He might have even been explaining that in the context of feminism. I think he was. So you can point out that, like, not having to work is better. And not having to go to college is better. Being able to learn the same stuff for free at home in your free time, you know, that's way better. You know? Then you can learn at your leisure. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to have all this stuff crammed down your throat at a really fast speed and or have to be taking other classes so that you're even more, you know, your brain is even more full and you're not able to learn as well because you feel utterly saturated from all the stuff you had to learn from this other class you didn't even want to be taking, but you have to. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so much better to learn that same stuff at home. Why not? You know, and you could be like, hell, I'll buy you the textbooks if you want to learn all that stuff, or you can audit the classes or whatever. But I don't want you, you know, hanging out with all these sluts, and I don't want you wasting a bunch of money in college, and I don't want you working, and nor should you want to work. Plus, it's bad for, you know, men and other women if you work. You know, and if you want me to buy you stuff, if all women want men to buy them stuff, well, if you want to have nice things, then all women should get out of the workforce so that all men can make more money, because men are going to spend a lot of that money on women anyway. And even if they don't, men are going to spend that money on getting richer, and then they will really have a lot more money to take care of their woman with. They'll use that money for saving, for retirement, or they'll use it to buy a second house or third house or the fourth house, and then they'll rent out all those houses and make free money, passive income, which then he can spend on her. You know what I mean? Like, just explain all this stuff to her, and then I think she'll get it. She'll start to come around. If she has any brains at all, she'll start to understand. You know, I think this is what you should say to a woman. But again, it's like, as regards promiscuity and stuff, you got to set an example. You know, like, I am against anybody or anything that is in favor of the disenfranchisement of other men or doing things that are societally destructive, right? Like, anything other than monogamy is societally destructive, other than live-in concubines with, like, you know, MGTOW men having their own communes and using live-in concubines so that they're sharing women, like one woman to three men. That is not gynocentric, because that's less gynocentric than, it's using up less women than serial monogamy does. And serial monogamy uses up twice as many women. Serial monogamy is very similar to bigamy, right? But, like, that would be the same as like if you had 2 men per every 1 woman. But if you have 3 men per every 1 woman in a MGTOW commune that uses live-in concubines, then you're using even less than that. So you are actually, because like 2 men per 1 woman would take care of the bigamy problem, because you're burning through twice as many women because they're fuck buddies, but you have half as many men. I mean half as many men. I mean twice as many men per women. So this means that even though you're burning through twice as many women, it's still 2 women per every 3 men. You see, if you have a living commune with living concubines, where it's like 1 woman for every 3 men, that's still just over the lifetime, 2 women for these 3 guys. So it's still using up less than their fair share of women. So that's non-gynocentric. So I'm in favor of promiscuity like that if it works, if it's sustainable, which I think it would be if you also paid for the first girl to, you continue to take care of her or you gave her kids. But I'm not in favor of bigamy. I'm not in favor of polygamy. I'm not in favor of having a wife and a mistress. I'm not in favor of a wife and having a fuck buddy, because that's all stuff that makes for a shortage of women, and therefore it creates gynocentrism and creates the incel problem. And that's number one, inhumane to incels, which again turns a huge percentage of men into incels if you do that kind of thing. Serial monogamy alone turns 50% of men into incels. But and why do you think like men are walking away from women these days? It's because a lot of them, I think a huge percentage, I don't know whether it's 30% or 95%, but a large percentage of MGTOWs are actually incels, right? Like women have said this, and I think this is probably true. So, a lot of men are just walking away because they couldn't get a woman in the first place, because of the gynocentrism and the shortage of female libido and stuff, and the female entitlement, because of the promiscuity of men, whether they're top men or middle class men or any men. So I'm not in favor of bigamy. I'm not in favor of polygamy. I'm not in favor of promiscuity. I'm not in favor of having a wife and a mistress or a wife and a fuck buddy or anything like that. Anything that is taking more than your fair share is creating significant gynocentrism, therefore significant simping, therefore shallowness in society, powerful government, and therefore tyranny, etc. It's all related. Really, the only sane patriarchal, non-gynocentric options are, number one, being totally monogamous, totally faithful to 1 woman for your whole life, or number two, using prostitutes, or I guess there's 3 options, or number 2, using prostitutes, or for your whole life, using prostitutes for your whole life and only prostitutes, and number 3, the third option is living in a commune with other guys and sharing women, 3 guys per every 1 woman. Those are really the only non-gynocentric options. Any other options other than that are gynocentric, are creating of simping, are creating of incels, are creating of big government, are creating of shallowness in society, are creating of slowing down the technological progress of all mankind, are creating entitlement and psychopathy in women, are setting a bad example for women, saying that only a certain amount of men are worthy of breeding, not all men deserve a woman. It sets that example for women, so then women have that attitude, so then they're way more entitled, and that creates more simping and gynocentrism, etc. Right? Like, really, other than just using prostitutes for your whole life, or doing a live-in concubine MGTOW commune, or being monogamous, totally faithful, these are really the only non-gynocentric options. Any other options are massively gynocentric and are conducive to immorality, poverty, tyranny, degeneracy, gynocentrism, simpishness, etc. It's really that simple, and there's really no way getting around it. But yeah, that was what I had to say in response to Old Man Flappy Nuts' comments. This has been Redshift. Hopefully somebody got something out of this. Peace, trucks.